Hey everyone, detailingisawesome.com back here with some more information about compounds. I think we all know my personal choice or personal preference towards the DA microfiber crushing system from Meguiar's. That's always been my favorite, it may continue to be my favorite, but someone kind of threw a wrench in the works a few months back, and it was the Ammo podcast with Larry, of course, and then Jason Rose, Mike Stoops, Kevin Brown. They're having a discussion on finishing out with D300 versus M100. This was at the NXT last year. And I got real curious. Is M100 really that much better than D300? Is it almost the same thing as D300? And what are the differences? Well, in the discussion, they talked about D300 being much more user friendly. It's easy wipe off, doesn't make any dust. It is a SMAT abrasive, which I think is easier to use. Some people don't, but I like it. I think you have more control. And then M100, which isn't really designed to be part of a microfiber system, but I think it was actually designed to be on wool. However, a lot of people are using it with great success on or with microfiber pads, microfiber cutting pads specifically. So it may not be as user friendly to use, but a lot of people are saying it finishes out better, especially on softer, I think to quote them in the podcast, more finicky paint. But the harder the paint gets, the more difficulty you'd have telling the difference between the two. If there weren't all the other fun things associated with it, like the color and the scent and so on. So I want to find the answer. I want to see what it is. Am I going to replace 300, my old go-to, with 100? Well, I don't know. But today I was lucky enough to get my car back from the dealership, and it had, I guess what Mike Phillips calls the DISO, dealer installed swirl option. I asked them not to wash it at the end, but whatever they did to it, the trunk lid, which you might remember from a previous video where I was reviewing ammo reflex coating, we polished that to near perfection, put a coating on it, looked amazing, and here's what it looks like now. Yikes. Well, this is the trunk lid that we polished perfectly before and put the coating on, so needless to say, I'm not very happy. The funny thing is, it went in for a sunroof repair, and then this is the trunk lid. It's just here and on the roof that's like this. Luckily, the rest of the car isn't scratched up like the hood or anything, but the only reason I'm not having them do this is because they kind of hooked me up on something else, so I'm going to be cool about it. Plus, it gives me a chance to make this video. So, let's fix it. So to prep the panel, I'm going to use some Menzerna top inspection. I like this to remove any contaminants that might have been on there as far as waxes or maybe a little leftover sealant from a long time ago. The coating we did before is long gone due to all the abrasions that were on there, but we'll use this just to make sure the panel's really, really fresh and good to go. So to start, let's try the M100. This is what it looks like on a primed pad. It's a really cool bluish teal color. I actually really like that. They didn't add a scent, but it looks kind of nice, especially on the brand new white pad I'm using here. We're going to do the left half of the trunk lid with this, and then we'll do the right half with D300 and compare the results. And here's our finished result. I think it looks really good. There's a tiny bit of what looks like haze on there, but that's really just, I think, a tiny bit of product residue. It's not as easy to wipe off as D300 is, but it's not too bad. Just make sure you do not let it dry or else it's going to be a real pain. There's a few fibers from the towel on there as well, but I'm pretty happy with the result. And here's a microfiber cutting pad primed with D300 that was designed to go with it and ready to defend its honor on the right half of my trunk lid as the go-to compound. Let's see how it stacks up. Now as I put this polisher down and spread out the compound, the first thing I notice is that it's got a little bit of a smoother buffing feel, which I really like. It smells like cinnamon, which is always kind of fun. But what I'm noticing is that it's not as likely to dry out. The product has a much longer buffing cycle, much smoother buffing feel, and there's not very much dust coming off of it. We'll take a close look in a minute at what it looks like on the other side, but there is a ton of dust coming off of the M100 side and virtually zero dust coming off of the D300 side. And as I wipe it, it comes off with almost no effort. Easy wipe off has always been one of my favorite characteristics of this product, and I think it still is. Now I'm using a Rupes pen light again to inspect our results from the D300 compounding side, and I think it looks very, very good. One thing you're going to notice is that haze that we saw on the other side isn't really there, and that haze isn't so much DA haze as it was just product residue, because the M100 is definitely harder to wipe off. It's not that bad, but it's not quite as easy to remove as the D300 is. So this side might look just a shade better, but in reality, the M100 side might have finished just a tiny, tiny bit better. And this is what I was talking about specifically here. This is the left side of the rear window, and there's a ton of dust. Now we're going to move over to the right side, where there's very, very little, if any. Those specks are actually a little bit of overspray from the top inspection of the D114 I used to remove all the product residue. So there is a fair amount of dust. I wouldn't say heavy, but I would definitely call it moderate dust from the M100. So I'm going to use M205 on a black foam thin finishing disc on the 21, and the reason I'm stepping outside the microfiber system is really just because of all the curves on the trunk lid and the tops of the rear quarter panels there that I'm doing. Normally I would have stayed within the system and stayed with microfiber, but in this case I feel like it's probably better. And to finish, let's go ahead and put some more MO Reflex on there. I've been happy with it so far, and it's what I had on there before, so let's redo it. And here's how it all turned out. I think it looks amazing, and it feels good to have it be back to normal too. And you're going to notice in the light there's a lot of little bits of the microfibers from the towel. That's not imperfection or dust, that's just from the towels. That one's getting a little old, it's probably about time to move on. Then on the right side here, that's the D300 side, and then we're slowly moving to the left and getting over to the M100 side, and after polishing with 205 on foam, I can't tell a difference from either one. So at the end of our compound battle, who won? Well, here's D300. We know it has a longer buffing cycle, has a smooth buffing feel, it leaves no dust, has effortless wipe off, and it's economical. A quart of this is about 28 bucks. If you get it on sale, I've seen as high as $35, and it smells like cinnamon. And as for M100, it's got a shorter buffing cycle, it cuts extremely fast, and it also dries out more quickly. It's got a lot of dust. It might finish slightly better on some paint. It wipes off moderately easy, but it's about 10 bucks cheaper a quart, and it has the cool teal color. So, depends on what's more important to you. For me, I think I'm probably going to stick with my D300 most of the time, but if I need it, I'm proud to have this quart of M100 in my arsenal.